I love single-player games, so seeing all the trailers and talk for The Last of Us Part 2 and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has me insanely hyped for the next couple of months. And yet, those games are not going to be available on a Nintendo Switch. But that's okay, because thinking about single-player had me realize that this year has been a phenomenal year for single-player titles and campaigns on Nintendo Switch. So today, we're ranking the top 10 single-player games that you can play on your Switch or Switch Lite in 2019. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force. Of course, we can't cram everything into this list, so if there's a game that you think deserves an extra special shout out or one that needs more shine, definitely let us know in the comments down below, and hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and agree that it's been a really good year for single player on Nintendo's platform. Let's talk two games right off the bat before we get to the list. The first is Cuphead, which is incredibly fun, either solo or with a friend, but I wanted to focus on games that had a more traditional single-player structure here. So while I'm obsessed with Cuphead, its art, and its bosses, I decided to omit it from today's list. The second title is Dragon Quest XI's, which I've been reading astounding things about, and I've enjoyed my first couple of hours. But I haven't put enough time in to accurately assess where this one would rank, so I'm going to mention it up front and say that it probably will hit the list, but right now I just haven't played enough. Hope that's fair. Number 10 is Astral Chain, and you may be saying, whoa, Switch Force, how is this game this high on your list? But it's honestly because 2019 has been so good for single player. Nonetheless, Astral Chain is a fantastic action title, and it does more than what we typically expect from Platinum, and I think that's why it shines. Brings in a lot of cool story elements, detective work, and even though some have soured on the more indirect combat mechanics, there's no denying that Astral Chain is one of the most stylish, flashy, and fun adventures you can have on Nintendo Switch. It's a true single-player experience, and we love it here at Switch Force. Number 9 is the just-released Ori and the Blind Forest. Microsoft making moves and bringing some of their biggest titles to the platform has been one of my favorite stories of the year and probably of the generation. Ori has a much more traditional structure than Cuphead, and that's why I decided to give it the nod. It is a beautiful and emotional journey with fantastic gameplay, amazing art, and really great escape sequences. The game controls like a charm, and thank goodness, because it has some pretty demanding platforming segments, like the aforementioned escapes and some of the new content that has been included in the definitive edition. Now, it's not as difficult as Celeste, but it's definitely a satisfying adventure, and that is boosted by the nice progress your character makes along the way. It's an almost perfect indie game, and it's kind of tough to even call it indie because it shows so much polish and so much prowess, but this will go down as one of the best ways to spend $20 on the Switch this year, hands down. Number 8 is a shocker. It's Mario Maker 2, and I didn't think this game would hit the single player list, but then I played the single player portion of the game, and it's good. Nintendo shows so much creativity, flexibility, and fun in their 100+ levels that they brought together for a campaign-style mode in this title. I think one of the best upgrades from the original. Obviously, the most wacky, difficult, and imaginative stages will come from the online portion, but given that Nintendo has provided next to no updates for this game since its launch in June, if you haven't dove fully into the single-player component, if you haven't completed all the levels and searched for the secrets in the little overworld, you definitely should double down. It is an absolute blast. Pure Mario goodness. It's beautiful to see Nintendo merge distinct gameplay styles and mechanics into one eclectic adventure, and I think that's what keeps Mario Maker 2 so fresh and fun. And then the interesting way that you progress as you purchase castle upgrades to build back Peach's house that makes Mario Maker 2 a must-play for solo gamers. Number 7 is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. How the heck are they pushing Geralt's grand adventure onto one cartridge? How the heck are they stuffing this massive experience onto Nintendo Switch? It seems like magic, but it looks like it's going to be another lovely third-party port of an adventure we probably never expected to get on Nintendo Switch. If you've already played, then maybe this doesn't hold as much weight for you, and that's the reason it's not higher on our list. But if you've already played, you also know that this is a phenomenal game, even legendary, and it's going to be lovely to take on the go and provide dozens and dozens of hours of single-player story goodness. Number 6 is Pokemon Sword and Shield. finally bring in a bold new evolution for the franchise to our home console, or our handheld, because it honestly feels like the Switch Lite launched this year in particular because of a new Pokemon. Gen 8 is looking sweet so far, and no matter how you feel about the animations or the national dex, it's hard to argue that Sirfetch'd isn't freaking fantastic. I can't wait to see more of the wild area, the unique gyms across both versions, and just the way that they've structured this more open adventure. We don't know much about the story or who the true villain will be, plus Pokemon does have a major multiplayer component in the form of trading and battling, especially this time around given the new exciting raids. But nonetheless, Pokemon Sword and Shield should go down as one of the best single-player adventures in 2019. I can't wait to Gigantamax as many Pokemon as possible, build an entire arsenal of Impidimps, and take up residence in the new Galar region. Number 5 is Katana Zero, which may be bite-sized, but it's bold in just about every single way. It's got a shocking and engaging storyline, it's got super addictive, responsive gameplay, and it's got incredible style in both its visual and audio departments. This game was made by one dude, which is insane, and it doesn't show because it feels like a very polished, complete experience, and one that will be adding additional free DLC along the way. One of my favorite barometers for single-player games is how memorable they are, and I won't be forgetting Katana Zero anytime soon. That graphic storyline really made me think, and then I've got so many instances of improbable kill streaks where I just got by, and I love that. I think Katana Zero might be the best new eShop game since Celeste, and even in a crowded one-hit kill genre, Katana Zero reigns supreme. Number 4 is Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now this is a weird one for me because I didn't really fall in love with the game, but I do respect, honor, and acknowledge its greatness. It's a massive adventure. It has insane scope, especially if you're ready to go back and play through another one of the paths. This one did wonders for Fire Emblem as a franchise, and for RPG fans on the Switch. Gabe, Joseph, Tripp, they all loved it and recalled so many times where they were pushed to the brink but managed to get by. Heck, Joseph even drew out maps to make sure he had the most perfect battle regiment for his troops as he approached the endgame. And Three Houses really encompasses both sides of a great single-player game, delivering deep gameplay and deep storytelling. Fire Emblem was a phenomenal single-player experience this year on Switch, one you could really sink your teeth all the way into, and it would be higher if not for the games we're about to discuss. Number 3 is Doom Eternal. This one earns marks for being absolutely insane and for just existing on Switch. The fact that Panic Button is gonna do their dance again and not only bring the game to the platform, but bring it day and date with the other consoles, that is music to my ears. I had a chance to play a bunch of Doom Eternal at E3, and this game is bananas. It builds on what the 2016 reboot did well and does it better. It feels exponentially more intense, and I know it's going to be a non-stop thrill ride ripping through demons and doing my best to survive. Graphically, it's incredibly impressive, and it'll be super interesting to see what Panic Button is able to pull off 2 years after their original Doom port. I hope that frame rate is the focus, but I'd love a little extra clarity in the resolution as well. Doom Eternal has a big and brutal single-player campaign. It also has an interesting 3-player multiplayer component, but we're focusing on how this harkens back to single-player shooters from years ago. It brings back elements that made those games great, but also introduces some of its own flourishes, and that's why I'm insanely excited for Doom Eternal, and it earns a top 3 spot. Number 2 is The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. I had no idea I'd fall in love with Link's little dream world like I did. Dare I say it's a masterpiece in its remastered form. I love the creativity, the quirkiness, the kooky characters, and the vibrant colors. The weaponry, the dungeons, the bosses, it all comes together in fantastic fashion. Yes, there's a little debate on the $60 price point, but the fun is absolutely assured. This game also calls back to single-player design from generations ago, and I love the flexibility in its structure, and the fact that it doesn't guide you by a mission marker, but rather by an optional telephone. Its stupendous quality is cemented by its adorable art and the inclusion of so many Mario crossovers. It's such a giddy moment to see Goombas in a tunnel, bloopers in an underwater pass, or Yoshi in a crane game house. And let me tell you, taking a pet chain chomp for a walk and watching him gobble up enemies, that's gonna go down as one of my favorite moments of 2019. Number 1 is Luigi's Mansion 3. This game keeps growing bigger and bigger, like the mega mansion hotel it takes place in. But we're not focusing on the multiplayer components or the promised DLC. No, we're focusing on Luigi's solo adventure, and one that I think is going to be spectacular. Have you seen the incredible variety of levels on display in the trailers? Have you seen the incredible attention to detail within each room? Have you seen Gooigi? I mean, Gooigi. This game shines because it's single player with a co-op element where you get to control 2 different Luigis to accomplish more difficult and creative puzzles. I loved what I played at E3, and I spent so much time in each room, shuffling around slowly, trying to avoid ghosts and sniff out secrets. This game brings a beloved GameCube original to trifecta status, and I think it's the perfect fit for Switch and Switch Lite. Heck, the last game was on 3DS, so portable play makes perfect sense, and it's gonna be one you'll love to explore for hours and hours. Yes, this game's multiplayer components are where its replayability will really shine, but I'm so pumped to explore all 17 floors of single player. Now that may not sound like a ton, but if you think back to how many floors were in past Luigi's Mansion titles, and if you've seen how diverse and cool the floors look in this one, it's gonna be good. Plus, there's cutscenes and a storyline that involves Luigi's entire family. How they get stolen is TBD, but I'm definitely excited to steal them back. So there you have it, the top 10 single-player games of 2019 that you can play on your Switch or your Switch Lite. I'm really impressed with how good of a year it is for solo titles. There are so many, and many more that didn't make our list. As I mentioned at the top, Cuphead, Dragon Quest XI, but let's also give a special shout out to Hellblade, SteamWorld Quest, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Blasphemous. Let me know in the comments down below if there's a single player game from this year that you think we missed. If it deserves more love, give it a sentence or even a paragraph. And hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and agree that this has been not only a phenomenal year for games on Switch, but for single player. They've really stood out, and I cannot wait to see where we go from here. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Have a fantastic day, and until next time, Switch Force out.